everyone, welcome back. Today I'm going to be answering your art questions. I asked you on Instagram if you've got any questions for me and I've screenshotted them all and I'm going to try and go through as many as I can. So I did that. Mondays are going to be my upload day. I've got some exciting ones planned for the next two. Subscribe if you'd like to see more and hit the notification bell so that you'll be notified when I post. Anyway, let's get into it. So the first question that I've got asked is, do you take painting classes? And if yes, you want to learn from me. That's actually so nice. No, I don't take painting classes. I learn pretty much everything I know from YouTube or other artists. There are actually some really great tutorials here on YouTube. I've got a few of my own and I know there's a lot of people who actually went to art school that will be much better at teaching you than I am, because I feel like I'm still kind of picking things up. Yeah, there's just much better people who are specifically art teachers that you'd probably be better off watching than me. What is the painting that you liked the most to paint? I'll show you a picture of it. Where is it? I hope that that's actually going to show up properly. This was actually a really sad story though, because this painting I was really debating, do I sell it or do I just keep it for myself? Because it took me like 5 weeks. It's the best painting that I think I've ever done. And then I sold it and unfortunately it got stolen from the customer's doorstep and it was just so devastating, and it was just the whole big palaver. And it was the courier's fault because they didn't listen to the instructions. They literally just left it out in the open for anyone to take. So it wasn't the customer's fault. The courier literally shouldn't have just left it in the open. But yeah, so that was really sad. They never found the painting. Yeah, so it's just out there in the world now. God knows where. So if you ever see it, probably very unlikely, steal it back. Next question, can I recommend watercolours? I really like the Winsor & Newton pocket watercolours. They're available on Amazon, that's where I got mine from. Oh god, I've just realised I'm recording with my mic and I'm just next to it like hitting my hands. That's not ideal. But yeah, Winsor & Newton pocket watercolours. How do I know if I'll survive as a full-time artist? I don't know. Sometimes I wonder if I'll even still survive. I didn't do this myself, but either saving up 3 months worth of wages and then telling yourself, or maybe 6 months, I've seen some people recommend 6 months, and making sure that you're making a full-time income for like maybe 3 to 6 months before you were gonna do it full-time, or having a bunch of savings behind you. I honestly think that most of us artists don't know if we're still going to be surviving in like 6 months to a year's time. It's kind of the sort of job where it feels a bit unstable and that's not really for everyone. Somehow I've made it free for like 3 years. I think if you have a strong following behind you and you're confident in your work, you'll be fine. How long does it take for an oil painting to dry before varnishing? It really depends on what medium you're going to use with it. So I use Galkid, so my paintings are touch dry within 24 to 48 hours, and then I wait a further 2 weeks to varnish them. Do you have online classes? No, I don't have online classes, but it's something I've been thinking about for literally like 4 years, but I'm sure that there are some really great ones on Skillshare. Yeah, like I know a lot of other artists have them, but I just haven't had the time to put into making a really good course yet. Also, the fact I've made tutorials on YouTube, I'm not really too sure what like more value I could add to a course. So unless it was through something like Skillshare, I don't really know what else I would add really. I think most of my advice you can just find in my YouTube videos. How do you manage to accomplish water movement? It's so hard. I think a lot of the time, like the best paintings I've done with the most amount of movement, I've done in 2 or 3 layers, because then you can add in more spray. Yeah, I just think it's easier if you're going to work in layers. But also I've been painting oceans for like 4 years now, so I've just had a lot of practice. How did I start painting? I've always painted, and then in 2017 I started using watercolors and acrylics more, and I opened a little Etsy shop. I don't know if anyone will remember that, but I opened a little Etsy shop, and then I started using mainly acrylics, and then during 2019, end of 2019, then I started using oil paints, and I watched a lot of YouTube tutorials and listened to a lot of advice from other artists, and yeah, it's been like 5 years, I think, 4 or 5 years, and here I am. Are we getting more real-time videos? Yes. So I have a big piece that I'm working on right now, and that's going to be a real-time video, but that might take me about a month to make. But my next 2 videos are more fun videos, and then maybe the one after that I'll do a real-time video again. How can I start selling my art if I've never sold one before? I would say just keep posting, post to different platforms as well. Or I think platforms that are kind of slept on a bit are Pinterest and Facebook. I know everyone goes for like TikTok and Instagram, but I think you never know when the right person will see your art. I mean, I've discovered a lot of artists through Pinterest specifically. Just keep posting on your social medias. I think probably my first ever year of painting, I probably sold less than 5 paintings, and some of them were to people that I know, or maybe all but one were to people that I knew in real life. Maybe that's like a good place to start. Like, don't be afraid to tell your friends and family what you're doing, because a lot of the time they'll be your biggest supporters. Yeah, I'm sorry if that advice wasn't very good. But I do want to one day do a whole video on how I got started and my tips for artists just starting out. So yeah, maybe I'll work on that video and it will help you out a bit more. What varnish do I like to use? I like to use the Gamvar gloss varnish or satin varnish. Yeah, like as I've tried more varnishes over the years, I've realised how good they are because they're pretty much odourless and they dry quite fast. I would say they only take a couple of hours really to dry, but I'll always leave it for at least 24 hours before I package anything up. Doing an A-level study on your work, how do you manage to paint beautifully? Oh, that's so nice. What? That's actually so crazy. What? I don't know, I've just had a lot of practice, I guess. I've just watched a lot of tutorials, and I mean, I've been painting the same kind of subject matter for like 4 years, so I've just had a lot of practice. Oh, but that's so nice. Do you clean your brush with solvents during a painting and use it again? Yes, I do. I constantly dip it in the solvent, wipe it off, and then use it again so that it's not just gonna be all like streaky. Will you ever do a step-by-step tutorial? Yes, I have, and I've posted some on TikTok and I've posted some on here. I've actually got a playlist on TikTok called tips and tutorials, so you might find it useful because they're quite short. Or on here I've got some longer ones. Are there certain emotions you're projecting during the painting process for some of your work? Yes, definitely. And that's what I like about painting the ocean, is you can paint it in different ways to reflect the mood that you're feeling at the time. I've realised that a lot of the paintings I do at like midnight to 2 a.m. they always turn out darker. I get a lot of people telling me that my art is sad, and I think that yes, that is actually kind of what I'm trying to portray a lot of the time. What company do you use for your prints and stickers? Prints I use Mixum, and stickers I use Vistaprint. Is painting your full-time job? I think I got another question like that. Yeah, someone asked me if it pays the bills, and yes, it's my full-time job. I've been doing it since, I think the first month that I made a full-time income from art was January 2021. Yeah, I'm lucky that it pays the bills and I'm able to do it full-time. Hopefully I can do it full-time forever, but it's the kind of job where you just don't really know what life is going to be like in a few months from now, so I try and just be really grateful for how it is right now and treat it like it might not be permanent. When did you get the idea to paint sea/ocean? Well, I started thinking about it at the end of 2018 when I moved to Brighton, because it's a coastal city in the UK. I started actually painting like seas and oceans back in, I think it was like the middle of 2019, so it's been like 5 years now. What is your favourite thing about painting? Everything. I like that I get to paint places that I've never been, and it kind of like transports you to somewhere else. I like that it's very calming, and I also really love seeing how you can just take one subject matter or like one reference photo and you can see how different people interpret it. And yeah, I just love putting paint on the canvas. How stressful or hard is it to actually be a full-time artist? I do actually get quite stressed, I'm not gonna lie. I think it is just the instability, like not knowing how long you're going to be able to do it for, not having a stable income, like it changes every month. And then also the business side of it, like I didn't really think about these things when I was starting out, and I mean, even if I knew, it wouldn't have stopped me. But yeah, especially these days, because it really does coincide with social media, it can be quite stressful, especially when you feel like you need to post all the time because the algorithm's going to punish you if you don't. Think like the business side, like doing taxes or like things like that are quite stressful, but then actually painting I feel like balances it out because it's so calming. What do you use to clean your brushes from mediums? I use Zest-It, and I've got it in my Amazon storefront, and I posted a list of all my materials on TikTok in my tips and tutorials. What inspires you the most within your art, and are there hidden meanings? I think there'll be some hidden meanings in the collection that I have in mind that I'm planning from now, but I don't know if I'll actually be able to translate it onto canvas. We'll see. How can I blend properly without all the colours mixing up? Just blend very lightly. Make sure that you're using a dry, fluffy, clean brush. Makeup brushes are actually really good. You don't have to always look for a brush specifically made for paints. And just keep wiping your brush off. When I'm blending, I don't dip it into solvent until after I've finished, because that will make the brush wet and it'll be a bit like streaky. I just make sure that I keep wiping it off on paper towels as I'm going along. And yeah, hopefully that helps. I mean, I kind of talk about it a little bit in some of my tutorials. How to mix blue and yellow without green. Blue and yellow will always make green. Unless you mean in a sky, for instance, and then I would say just use transition shades so you don't have to actually blend the blue and the green together. What drew you to seascapes, and is there an artist or piece that particularly inspired you? Oh, I really like that. Well, I just got drawn to seascapes because I moved to Brighton. I remember a tutorial that inspired me, and it was called, yes, so I remember the tutorial. It was by Kevin Oil Paints on YouTube, and it was the first like wave tutorial that I ever followed, and yeah, it really inspired me, and it like got the ball rolling, and then from there I started painting them like every day. Thoughts on making a tutorial book? I'd love to learn some of your techniques. See, I have kind of thought about doing a book before. I don't have any plans to do one right now, but yeah, I have kind of thought what I could put into a book. But if you do really want a book on landscape pieces, I recommend this book. Brilliant on Instagram and TikTok, as you know her, Sarah. She very kindly sent it to me, and it's just absolutely incredible. But yeah, she's put so much detail into it, and I would highly recommend that if you want to get started with acrylic landscapes, that you get this book. What is it that you dip your brush in before you paint? I think you mean the Gal kit that I use. So I always get comments about this and get asked on like every video if it's honey. It's actually a resin-based medium called Gal kit, and it helps to thin the paint, makes it dry within 24 to 48 hours, and it adds a slight like gloss finish at the end, which I really like. How do I make my prints? So I photograph them myself. So I've used my phone or my Canon N60, I think it is, and I use Mix'em. I've been recording for quite a while, so that's basically most of the questions, most of the art related ones. If you have any more questions, let me know in the comments and I'll do my best to get back to you. Yeah, I hope that you liked this video or found some sort of value in it, and I answered your question if you asked me one. Don't forget to like and subscribe and hit the notification bell, and I'll be back next week.